afternoon, everybody. My name is Joy Stevens. I am the president and founder of the Corporate Giving Network. And I'd like to welcome all of you this afternoon. I am delighted to introduce you to Erica McIntire. Her title is Senior Vice President, Colorado Market Executive. There, she supports the local market goals of connecting businesses, families, and individuals to the banking and investment teams that will help improve their financial lives. She's responsible for developing community partnerships, sponsorships, and philanthropy across her Colorado footprint, as well as the development and execution of the market strategic plan designed to drive responsible growth, employee engagement, brand reputation, and commitment to the community. She serves on the boards of Be Civic, which is a wonderful group in Denver, the Emily Griffith Foundation, where she is the chair, Bank on Denver, and Enterprise Community Partners. She is proud to have earned a certificate in corporate social responsibility and to be a certified CASA volunteer. In 2023, she was recognized by the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce as their inaugural Chamber Champion Awardee and by the Denver Business Journal as one of the outstanding women in business winners. She lives in Littleton with her son Eli, 2 cats, 1 Bernedoodle, and Spike, the crested gecko. So Erica, as you can see, has a remarkable background, and we're delighted that she decided to join us. So without further ado, Erica, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Well, everybody can hear me, right? Thanks for that. You read the long version, Joy. I didn't know you were going to do that. But so now you know lots of important things about me, right? I just want to say welcome. Thank you for letting me be here. I do see some friends on Zoom today. I see Diane, Christina, Carolyn, and Margie. I'm sorry if I missed anybody else. I feel like romper room, right? I see Diane, Christina. Some of you won't get that reference. Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to join you today and contribute to your Corporate Connection series. I support any opportunity for nonprofits and corporations to be better friends and better partners together. So before we dive into the presentation, I want to make a disclosure, if I will. Of course, I'm in banking, so we love our disclosures. I'm going to share some opinions and tips and examples, but they represent my approach to this work in my market. My Bank of America colleagues in the other markets and certainly professionals at other companies may have different approaches based on their own priorities and the community needs that they serve. I don't seek to represent all corporations who might have their own ways of engaging nonprofits, but what instead I am hoping during our time today to accomplish is sharing a few things. So number one, sharing a bit about Bank of America so you have a context for the information I'm going to review. It's not going to be a commercial, I promise. I'm also going to provide some examples for how we engage in communities with the hope that you will hear ideas for how to incorporate them into your own organization's engagement. So hopefully that's what you thought you were getting today. But as Joy said, we'll have time at the end of the presentation for Q&A, just in case I didn't address something that's on your mind. I will let you know that if you're using the chat function, like Joy mentioned, I'm not ignoring you. I can't see it. That function is turned off for me at the bank. So it sounds like Joy's minding the chat, and that's great. We can hopefully tee those up at the end. So thanks for that. All right, onward. I'm just going to keep going. I do talk fast, so hopefully it's okay with everybody. Maybe you can give me a high sign if you need me to slow down a little bit. But first, a bit about Bank of America, if I could. Hopefully you've heard of Bank of America. We are one of the world's leading financial institutions. We serve consumers, small and middle market businesses, and large corporations. And we've got your full range of banking and investing and asset management and all other financial products and services like our competitor banks out there. In the U.S., we have about 69 million consumer and small business clients with 3,900 retail financial centers and about 15,000 ATMs. And we've got 57 million verified digital users, which just continues to blow my mind. I forget, like one of any two people getting on a online banking is coming on to Bank of America. So it's just astounding, the numbers of our digital capabilities. The company itself serves clients in operations across the United States, its territories in more than 35 countries. Of our more than 205,000-ish employees across the globe, 50% of this workforce is women and 50% of our U.S. workforce is people of color. One of the things we're proud of is increasing our minimum wage over the last few years. In 2023, we took it up to $23 per hour. We are on our way to $25 per hour by 2025. These incredible employees volunteer more than 2 million hours each year, and we have a company match portion for their generous donations, which exceeds about $65 million annually. And then in addition to that, the Bank of America Charitable Foundation invested $360 million in nonprofits across the globe in 2022. And although we haven't reported it yet, I would expect similar numbers for 2023 as well. So this is what our CEO, Brian Moynihan, starts every presentation with. He calls it the place at. And we start almost every conversation with our clients with the question, what would you like the power to do? And we ask this question of all those we serve because we want to better understand how we can deliver on our purpose of making financial lives better through the power of every connection. So that's what we do, those last two slides. But how we do it is really what differentiates us from our competitors. We deliver for our three areas: clients, colleagues, and communities. And we deliver locally across about 100 markets and growing. Each of our local markets is led by a market president and managed by a local market executive, like my role, along with an entire team of local bankers, local leaders of our business lines in different departments. But the market executive, my colleagues, are responsible for making sure our teams are engaged internally and externally in our local communities. I like to say we also like to make sure they play well in the sandbox together. So let's talk about a few of those ways we like to engage locally. Hopefully this isn't too busy for you, but some of the ways Bank of America and a lot of companies engage in communities that you are likely very, very familiar with include philanthropic investments or grants, underwriting events or sponsoring table tickets at fundraising events, and deploying employee volunteers, and maybe even matching up company leaders to serve on your boards or committees. So one of the first takeaways that I want to offer to you today is thinking about all the other ways a corporate partner may want to engage with your organization. Many companies, as I had already talked about, match employee personal donations or offer grants to match their logged volunteer hours. Sometimes those are known as dollars for doers. So make sure you ask about those. Some of their own employees, including ours, don't know that we have those programs. Companies searching for business development or networking opportunities may invest in annual memberships in chamber or trade associations. You mentioned Be Civic. Be Civic is a brand of our chamber that is all about bringing companies together to do good while they're doing business, kind of the CSR, ESG function of the chamber. So we're a member of that. Those companies looking to build their brands may choose sponsorships or opportunities to position their products or people. More on that later. They may offer speakers to advance their thought leadership in the community. So ask if you are in need of a keynote speaker or someone to serve on a panel. And then another area is, and this may be unique to financial institutions, it may be unique to just Bank of America, but Bank of America recently launched what's called the Academy, and it's a free online educational site committed to preparing individuals for a career, fostering economic mobility, building skills, and inspiring career confidence. So that you can Google that. Again, Joy has all the links. You can go check that out as well. We offer virtual webinars, live that across the year that you might find interesting and you could offer to your teams as well. In addition to supporting our nonprofit community partners, we have a Driving Impact webinar series that focuses specifically on topics that are of interest to nonprofits, very similar to what Joy does, focused on leadership development, nonprofit sustainability, industry trends, innovative approaches to economic mobility. And as part of our commitment to fostering economic mobility and financial literacy, we also worked in conjunction with the Khan Academy to develop a free online resource called Better Money Habits, which is a financial literacy, financial education curriculum. And this the entire website is offered in Spanish and English with modules focused on individuals, kids, and small businesses. And it also has the option of being delivered in person or virtually through our employees, which is how we volunteer our time. So that's a really broad look at all just the few ways that you could engage your community partners in your work. But I'd like to take a little deeper dive, if I could, into two of those that I suspect make up a good portion of your organization's fundraising strategy: grants and sponsorship. All right. So as part of our commitment to making financial lives better, we invest in efforts in our communities that address economic mobility and social progress through the Bank of America Charitable Foundation. And the foundation focuses on 4 main areas and invests across the year in 2 RFP cycles. And you can see the dates there. All of this information is available on the foundation's webpage. You can just Google Bank of America Charitable Foundation. And then I've also given Joy a couple of links to share with you after the session. So that is a really quick hit because I really want to talk to you guys about sponsorships now and spend the rest of our time there. It's something I'm passionate about. I started my career at U.S. Bank, and when I found myself in banking, I worked on sponsorships, and so it's a passion of mine, even though I don't get to do it a heck of a lot in my current role. But if I were to poll you all right now, I'm guessing that most of you might define sponsorships in terms of levels of underwriting support for your annual fundraising events. And I can't see you all, but if that's how you kind of are thinking about sponsorships, raise your hand. Again, I can see like 6 of you, but there's a little subset of my poll there. So I'm going to call it 50% of you decided that that's how your approach of it. So, more broadly, I'd like to give you a different definition for this and kind of put a couple ideas out there. But sponsorships are really defined as an investment made in return for access to these, and here's a really interesting term, exploitable commercial potential that's associated with that property, whether that property is a brand, an organization, an event, a festival, a campaign, a person. Think about celebrities that are different companies sponsor to be their spokesperson. So if in this formal definition you find yourself bristling at the term exploitable, then you could certainly replace it with the term leverage, meaning a company makes an investment to align with the brand and leverage the assets, rights, and benefits included in the contract. So in short, sponsorships are business development strategy for sponsors with an anticipated expected ROI, return on investment. Sponsorships are different from grants since these investments expect a tangible return, and they are usually one of the main components of a company's marketing strategy because they aim to build brand awareness, develop business, and ultimately sell a product. But sponsorships really work best when the target audience, your audience, recognize that the corporate partner is playing an essential role in the property rather than just you're slapping my logo on all of your event materials, that they see me as part of this event. And as a best practice, we activate on sponsorships. You're going to hear that word a lot, meaning we like to utilize the rights and benefits to maximize the investment we're making as part of the ROI. Some of the components of a sponsorship would usually include, and you can kind of see those on the right side there, a proposal that outlines the opportunity, including the assets, rights, and benefits, some sort of contract or agreement that outlines who gets what, when, and for how much. And then after the event, it's always a good practice to provide a report that reviews what was delivered. And if you can, offering up the value of what that sponsor got for their investment, the ROI. And then lastly, make sure you ask for the renewal. That should be something that comes at the end of that report as well. So for Bank of America, we look for sponsorships that are aligned with our purpose and current commitment areas. You saw a little bit about those. And then those differ potentially by market. So Colorado is different from Seattle, and you've got your needs. And so our markets might be looking for something a tiny bit different in each of those 100 markets across the U.S. One thing that is consistent, though, is that we do not fund anything that's in connection to an election, a political office, or any political activities. And then lastly, depending on whether the sponsorship proposal is local or national or multiple markets, we may pull in our global team of experts, whether it's sports marketing or arts and culture. So to give you an idea of how this works within a market, I'd like to use Colorado as an example. So with Colorado, we look to do a couple of things. We align with our Colorado market strategic plan. We look for sponsorship opportunities that build brand awareness. We're relatively new in Colorado, and so we're still telling our story. And so we're always looking for opportunities to brand. We're looking for opportunities that provide ways to position our products, people as thought leaders. We want to offer, and this is an interesting term. I love this one, but I got this one from Bruce Earley from Creative Strategies Group. Unique, unbuyable experiences for our clients and prospects to be able to build and strengthen our business relationships with them. And what that means is that if anybody off the street can come in and get those kinds of experiences from your property, giving me something to treat my clients and prospects to that can't be bought, that creates an experience for them, is something that I'm looking for in sponsorship. And then lastly, aligning with and providing an opportunity to showcase our purpose, values, our economic mobility commitment to the community. So those are kind of a little bit of the ways that I'll evaluate a sponsorship in Colorado. All right. So I am going to end on this slide and offer a few tips and best practices. I want you to know that you are selling in sponsorship. And I know, again, with nonprofits, we tend to, because I'm on some boards, we tend to just bristle at that, or we don't want to put it in that position when it's cause related. But you are selling. You're selling the alignment with your brand. And so you should be very clear about who you're aligning your brand with to make sure that they are aligned with your mission, objectives, your reputation. So make sure be crystal clear on what your brand is, who your audience is, what your purpose and values are, and then that is aligning with who you're doing business with. One of the first things that I would offer is do an inventory of your assets, the rights and benefits you're going to offer in contract in return for the investment. And think creatively about what has value to a potential sponsor, maybe not just you. And how will they utilize these or leverage them to get the most out of the investment? So put a value on those rights and benefits from the sponsor's perspective, if that's possible, not just yours. You may see a lot if there's shared, if you have a media sponsor and you're giving like ads or there's logo inclusion, there are tools out there that will help you evaluate and put a dollar figure on everything, all those assets and benefits. So think about it and think creatively about everything that you have to be able to offer to that sponsor. Be fair, certainly don't give away the farm, but be thoughtful about how these assets could be used by the sponsor. You may love your newsletter that goes out to your audience of 500 loyal supporters, but think through how will a logo at the bottom of that email benefit your sponsor? What are they looking for? Moving on, I want to offer, do not use ranges. I've seen this a lot. If your sponsorship package says 5,000 to 15,000, guess which end of the spectrum I'm going to choose. So pick a level that comes into understanding what the value and the worth of that sponsorship is. Lastly, with brand awareness and equity in mind, how can you create a sponsorship that provides broad and extended visibility? whether through the time period, meaning it's a 30-day program versus one night, or crafting elements that extend the visibility beyond that, meaning before, during, and after. So kind of everybody wants longer visibility. Right, I'm going to move on to do your homework. Learn as much as you can about the company you are pitching. What is their brand, their values, their purpose, their footprint? Are you in their footprint? Can they give you money? What are their current sponsorships and engagement efforts? Build those into your proposal. And if in doubt, set up an intro meeting to get to know the company better so you can learn their priorities, goals, and strategies. We don't want to waste your time either. So that directly ties into the next one too, doing the thinking for the sponsor. So based on what you have to offer and what they may be looking for, pull together a relevant, thoughtful, meaningful, tailored proposal. I will tell you, I have had several proposals that have competitor bank logos that they forgot to switch out between meetings. So that was kind of starting off on the bad foot when they started calling us PNC Bank. But so think about that. I like to say keep the medals in the Olympics. And Joy, I know you call this your deadly sins, but I am not necessarily a fan of bronze, silver, gold, titanium, or platinum. That's not really descriptive. I would rather see you using some of the common terminology, like knowing your terms of title sponsor level, presenting sponsor, supporting sponsor, show sponsor, luncheon sponsor, those kinds of things. To be clear, you could be clear to companies about what you're selling into those levels. A title sponsor usually has the company name and the event title and a logo lockup, meaning the logo is in your event logo. So I've given you a couple of examples down here: the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, the Bank of America Winter Village at Bryant Park. Presenting level sponsor usually has logos included in the main event logo, but there's a presented by. So Winter Lights, presented by Bank of America, or New York Yankees Museum, presented by Bank of America. The more brands you add in, the less differentiated the sponsor becomes. So try to avoid that logo soup as possible. Offering exclusivity, if it's possible, in your level, meaning only one title or presenting level or two presenting level, limited, and an industry category, meaning if I'm a sponsor, I don't want to see Wells Fargo or PNC there. Love those folks dearly, but we want to differentiate ourselves. So think through where you have the ability to provide category exclusivity, and then you price up for that as well. And then think creatively about the assets that a sponsor could activate on. One of my favorite sponsorships is the Denver Christkindl Market. We are only one of two presenting sponsors, but we have the naming rights for an asset, which is the Bank of America Festival Hall. So that's where everybody comes in for the Oompa bands and with their big old signs during the Christmas festival. So that is, even though I'm on the presenting level sponsor with another sponsor, I get to own an asset, that being the festival hall. Learn about where a sponsor is trying to achieve. Are they new in a market and they're trying to gain visibility and awareness? Are they trying to grow wallet share? Are they looking to enter a new demographic? Are they looking for extended visibility or kind of a one-night blowout event? Ask them. Then think creatively about how your sponsorship can help solve this for them. And finally, I'm going to borrow from Stephen Covey and offer that you begin with the end in mind. And I offer two takeaways for this concept. First, craft your sponsorship strategy with a very clear understanding and vision of your destination. Identify what you hope to accomplish and the steps to get there, and check in often to make sure you're on the right track. That's where, kind of selling the farm. Like, are you doing what you said you were going to do and not acquiescing to something that a company wants? Next, start your interactions with potential sponsors with the goal of developing relationships and not just transactions. Anyone in a relationship wants it to be happy, balanced, and beneficial. So understanding what each partner wants and needs is critical, and then delivering on it and demonstrating value helps make sure both partners want to stay in it, right? And you get that renewal. So, all right, I probably talked enough, Joy. So I want to be able to just kind of end here. And as we transition to the Q&A, I'd like to hear from you. Did we achieve our objectives and our time together today? If not, what would you like to talk about? So, Joy, back over to you.
So I'm going to go to the chat box, and I am going to pick some questions. I know one of the questions that I saw come through was from Colleen, and she asks, what is the range? And I kind of know how you're going to answer that, Erica, but I'm going to let you say it anyhow. Colleen wanted to know what the range of the sponsorship, like, I guess, what Bank of America would consider sponsoring.
Oh, gosh, you're right. My answer, Joy, is it depends, right? I mean, if you are inviting us to attend your fundraising gala, we might look at purchasing tickets or a table. We might come in to get podium time at a $5,000 or $10,000 level. Some of our large sports sponsorships, and that's a whole other different ball of wax. Those are millions of dollars. I don't see those dollars in Colorado, but there's millions of dollars spent in sports entertainment and sports sponsorship. So the range is like this. Is that good?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Now, Brian asks about starting the relationship with the Seattle-based Erica, right? Because you've got your budget, and your budget is for your Colorado market. You've got a colleague in the Seattle market. Maybe even within Washington State, there are more than one market executives. So I know it helps if we know who the person is. You got to know who the person is before you can start the relationship. And I know, or maybe I should ask you if you are at liberty to share with Brian who your counterpart is in Seattle.
Absolutely. And I am always, depending upon where you are, I am always happy to share the need in those markets. And what I normally do is I go and I ask permission from my colleague and say, I'd like to make this connection. How would you prefer to be connected? And in this case, my colleague in Seattle is Alex Yang, and I asked him for permission to provide his contact information, and I have given it to Joy. So Joy has permission to introduce you all to Alex when you're ready. I don't, I've been to Seattle, but I don't know what Alex's priorities are for Seattle, so I can't speak to that as I can for Colorado, but I would imagine that there's a lot of similarities as far as wanting brand and expanding our footprint and business development opportunities. But feel free to reach out to Alex.
Okay. Thank you, Erica. Have you used up all of your budget for, in other words, in 2023, you decided who you're going to sponsor in 2024. So if I reached out to you now and say, Erica, I would like you to sponsor my event that's happening in March. And this question is in regards to how soon do you start talking to you? What would your response be?
Yeah. It depends. No. The better you are at forming these relationships and the better you can show your ROI and make that ask for renewal, you get those locked up. And so I have a number of sponsorships that have served us. They're awesome. They're awesome partners. And so I will renew immediately and just say, we're in for 2024. And so we'll keep a running list of, what is it that we're refunding that we're going to stay with? What are the dollars that are kind of freed up to switch around and do something new and different? And then I have what my priorities are. And I encourage you to ask, my priorities they generally stay the same. But for instance, in Colorado, we are expanding. And so we just expanded in 2023 into northern Colorado, which is Greeley and Fort Collins, and then south of us in Colorado Springs. And so those are new priorities for me. And I had to de-Denverize our portfolio. I am calling organizations. I am online, to Googling to find these great different types of community festivals going on in those areas because I don't live there, so I don't know. And so I will tell you that my priorities, I had to carve out a little bit to do better in some of those newer markets. And that, when I talk about creative, like, what problem am I dealing with? My problem is I need to find something up there to accomplish my goals, and down in Colorado Springs. So that's a little bit of an example that I have carved out some funds that are not allocated for 2024, but I know I have them earmarked in specific areas. Mm-hmm. I will say, even if 100% of my funding is locked up, I still want to see it. I still want to know what's going on. I want to put you on the radar for 2025. I want to beg for money from Enterprise to try to get more money here to Colorado to make it work. So, but get it in early if you can, or at least ask them, when do you want to see this?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Great. So I hope I'm doing a good job of asking these questions that you are putting in the chat box. Yes, another question about renewing sponsorships. And I think that comes down to, this individual is asking, what is realistic? Is the 2 to 3 year renewal realistic? And I'm kind of thinking, like you gave us the example of the Denver winter market that does so well for you, that unless something, I don't know, really weird happens, you will continue to sponsor that year in and year out because you're getting the ROI. You're getting the results you're looking for. So
absolutely,
I don't kind of see, you not doing something. You will just keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. I will say, ask for a multi-year sponsorship, right? So this is, I want to lock this up, but there should be a benefit to multi-year, right? So if you're going to say, I want you to commit to this property for the next 3 years, and you're going to lock in this price, and you're going to get whatever over the next 3 years, ask it. Sometimes it's beneficial for me to be able to lock in and not have that flexibility, because I know I'm locking it in at a better price, and I know I'm going to commit to it anyway. I will say, I've seen a lot of, be creative in some of your contracting and your negotiations with that. But if you want me to sign a multi-year contract for 3 to 5 years, and then you've got an escalator built into that, there's no benefit for a sponsor to lock up our dollars multi-year and then not have any monetary upside. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally. So, I want to talk about nonprofits and galas and corp and companies. What do you want to see a nonprofit offer you in a gala or a fundraising breakfast or a fundraising luncheon that will make you say, this is so awesome, I am in, and I'm in for multi years?
Remember that part at the very beginning of our time together when I told you I had opinions, and that's all they were?
I love that about you. I love that about you.
And they're biases, whatever you want to call them, but I have not found much success in treating fundraising events as any more than just underwriting. There are this is a challenge to all of my nonprofit friends out there. I have yet to see a really creative proposal that kind of is bringing together assets that hit a lot of those things that we were talking about, that, to Joy's point, makes me flip over and say, take all my money and take it for the next 3 to 5 years. I really think it's a necessary evil. I get that you have to do fundraising events, and it's friends making breakfasts and galas, and people love getting dressed up and supporting the causes. But I tend to treat them as they are. These are fundraising, these are underwriting opportunities, and those are in a separate line item for me. And I do very few of them because we don't get a lot out of it. It's one night. And so I was also giving you the suggestion here that if you know you're doing a 3-hour event, it's our gala, it's 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever, how can you give sponsorship visibility and benefit before it, during it, and then after it? And that takes a 3-hour event and leverages it and creates more value for that sponsor. That makes sense?
Totally. Before I go on to the next question, please differentiate for us the difference between sponsorships, which we know what that is, and you use the term underwriting. What does underwriting a gala look like to you?
Underwriting a gala for me would be table tickets and then your bronze, silver, and gold. And you all know it, because if I ask you to raise your hand again, somewhere in your files out there, you've got a matrices. And across the top, it says bronze, silver, gold, platinum. And then down the left-hand side, it has all of the benefits. And all you do is you put one, as you go across, you get 1 of these, 3 of these, 5 of these, 7 of these. But all the sponsors get all the same benefits, just maybe a different quantity of them. That's not differentiation, right? So that's not giving me something that I'm buying that nobody else can have, So think through that a little bit. I'm not saying you can't create a sponsorship out of a fundraising gala. I'm challenging you to be a little bit more creative, break out of that matrices, think about the companies you want to work with, go through those steps about thinking about what they're looking for. How do you take your assets and package them together for what works? So just getting a little bit more creative, even with a one-night gala, all the way up to whatever else your program is that you're selling. Did I answer the question? I don't know. Okay.
No, it's all good. We are hanging on to your every word because you're giving us such good tips.
Do that.
No, I am. It's right here. It's all up in here. All right, couple of things. Also, if with your help, Erica, if you don't mind asking your Bay Area, Northern California counterpart, if we could know who that person is, because we are now in the Bay Area, we are in LA, we are in Portland, and does it matter to you whether or not a nonprofit banks with Bank of America? Does that make a difference at all?
No, not at all. No. I mean, first of all, in my role, it's like the kosher laws. We've got to keep total separate. So if you're a grantee of ours, I cannot ask you to bank. Even if we're going to be a sponsor, I keep that totally separate. Now, we have amazing products and services, and I would want you to be a customer. And if you were ever interested, I would hand you off to one of my amazing colleagues who is a real banker. I am not a banker. So that said, there is not a reciprocal relationship there. No.
Okay.
The reciprocity and you should strive to create a symbiotic relationship with your sponsor. Again, you're not giving up too much. You're creating value for your sponsor. So that's that reciprocity you want to try to strike in a sponsorship relationship.
Okay. And this is Mary Batterson, Museum of Flight in Seattle. Great place. Oh my gosh. Don't go into the simulator. Oh, that simulator.
Place.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
3 days.
Thank you for today's presentation as well. Real quickly, I just wanted to ask you, for you personally and what you're doing, how important is social media as part of the benefit package? I mean, I've seen that cooling off a little bit. We have a pretty big, social media community that follows the museum. And it used to be, we want 8 social media posts in the next year. And we want, mention here and mention there. Is that an important part of the mix for you? Is that changing at all? Thank you.
It is, Mary. It is still an important component. And again, if I were able to pull you all, I would ask you how you learned about this workshop, right? I mean, was it through social media? Was it, well, probably because you're members of Joy's organization, but the rest of you may have learned about it on social media. So it's still a really important tool for us. One of the things that's most important is that you talk about me. I don't talk about me, right? Because how off-putting is it if you've got somebody telling you how great they are? But if you've got somebody else talking about you, that's the benefit. That's the alignment we're looking for. And so if you're packaging something in social media, be creative about that. So are there video assets? I've got my friend Diane Miles here in Denver, and she does incredible videos for Dope Mom Life. But, looking at what are the different assets that you could do creatively on there. Nonprofit partners are talking about us for us. That's the number one thing.
That is an awesome way. Mary, great question. That's a great way to wrap this up. Erica, one of the things that we do, and we have Mary to thank for this, she hosts us at the museum. And who's us? It's a group of nonprofits, and it's a group of corporate funders. We sit across the table from each other, and we talk about the gaps between what the corporate funders want and what the nonprofits can provide, and vice versa. And in October, when we did our last session, that was one of the things that was brought up. State Farm Insurance said, you know what? When the nonprofit community talks about how wonderful we are, that sounds good. When we talk about how wonderful we are, that sounds very self-serving. So right on when you said that bit about, when we talk about you, it comes across so much better. And where do we talk about you? Yeah, social media, LinkedIn. Gosh, I spent so much time on LinkedIn. Love it. We're going to end this session.